Oh, what's up, everybody? Thanks for joining us. It's like Adam Frank is like Jay Steinbach here. It's like we should just have a group of us always on. It's amazing.
This is what I do every day. So anytime you guys want me, I'm here.
Thanks for joining us, man. We've got you. We're missing Amanda, so
she is out running around. She will hopefully be here before the end of it, but she is, listen, as for all of you realtors know, you close the sale when they're hot, and she has one that's running over and they're riding right now. So we absolutely go by leaders or practitioners, and clients come first. So you're stuck with just me, although I'm the tech guy. So really, she would have sat in the background and played on her phone anyway.
I thought you were going to say she was lost in her new office, is what I thought you were going to say.
Again, this is my office and hers is double the size.
Yeah. She needs a one wheel to get around her own office.
And Jay, for those people that don't know you and don't know your business and where you're at, can you do a quick intro for us?
Absolutely. So I am one of the principals of View Enterprises, and View Enterprises is a company that owns a lot of real estate related companies. The main one of which is Realty Shop. We are a residential, commercial, luxury, all that kind of fun stuff, brokerage here in the St. Louis metro area. We started Realty Shop about a little over 3 years ago. So it was a startup company. However, we went from non-existent to we are now top 30 in the entire state of Missouri, and our agent volume is top 3. Amanda is actually the number 3 agent in all of St. Louis right now. We're onboarding, to give you an example, I think right now we got about 17 currently in process. Takes us about 60 to 90 days to onboard an agent with our process procedures. And we have, and Randy, I don't know if you can back this up, but I heard from the other day, we have been given the Chime title as the only brokerage with 100% compliance, meaning that every agent, every employee of ours does every task inside of Chime without exceptions. So we have the highest usage.
I will say, I might have given you that title, but I do believe it though. I do believe it. Absolute 100% adoption, no exceptions. That's pretty impressive.
Yep. So we have a combination of W2.
I said in the background, you see Jay holding feet to fire of agents that are not getting tasks done.
we only, and again, I can always talk about the brokerage things. I'm not an agent. That's always my preface. I'm a business guy. We only accept about 10% of the agents that apply here. We think everyone's fabulous as a person, but we focus on people that want to have real estate careers and make it a full-time profession of theirs. So that's where we kind of separate it out. And one of the other, yes, absolutely right.
I have a question.
And then the other side. Oh, I don't even get to finish my intro. Go for it.
No, do your thing. Sorry, I had a question for you about that.
No, and part of the reason why Tristan and you guys like having us on so much is we are extremely tech heavy. Everything that we do is in the cloud. Everything we do is mobile. When COVID came down and quarantine came down, our business tripled overnight because of our systems, processes, procedures. We didn't need an office. We don't, we're very flexible, very fluid on how we operate.
What do you look for when you say you only take 10% of the agents that you onboard or that apply? What are you looking for in an agent? Because I talk to so many broker owners that are like, we'll take anybody that will come here, and you're really selective. And so I'm hoping that people that are watching are going to get like don't take everyone, take this mentality of we don't want everyone. We want the best of the best. What are you looking for specifically?
So you guys have, you've met Aaron in some of our previous ones. And I'd say that if there's any brokerage owners or team leads that they're watching this that really want to have a deep dive into a lot of that, please go back to some of the earlier chimes. I'm sure Aubrey will be happy to link them on Facebook. But number one, and this is a really strange thing in the real estate world, ego stops at the door. If you're interested in being, having your name on billboards and you want to have, SusieSellsRealEstate.com everywhere else, please, to understand that we don't think that anything's wrong with that. That's just not our model. We operate more as a large, think of us as a large department store more than we are an independent flea market. So we have a unified brand. We operate under a single website with a single brand. Everything we do comes from a single media source. Our agents have zero media spend, zero marketing whatsoever. Everything is handled by our Realty Shots or View Media, depending on what they're doing. So we manage all that for them. What that allows is that we want people that are willing to come in, sit down and work, and they're going to focus on the client experience, and they're going to focus on their own education and growth. Everyone comes in and they start out. If we have 3 people, I just walked through the main area just a few minutes ago. We have 3 people that are in onboarding right now that are in the office. Each of them has over 5 years of real estate experience. They're going through their 60-day, onboarding mentorship before they are allowed to take a phone call from any of our clients. So we are very, very heavy on systems, processes, procedures. So, and I said, a lot of times that we say no, a lot of times we say no, it's quite simply that just doesn't align with what they're doing. They've been in real estate for a while. They're comfortable managing their own book of business. They want to sell 1 or 2 homes a year. So generally flat, they're, most of them are flat fee now, and they're not getting what they need. And then they come to us and they want their cake and they want to eat it too. So it's a little bit of like, we have our systems, process, procedures, and what we look for, and ego just does not fit into anything we do.
That's a really cool model because it allows the agent to focus on what they should enjoy doing. What we should all enjoy in real estate is getting to work with a client and not having to do everything in the back end. And I wish more brokerages would do that and actually treat it that way, because I think the quality of agent that you get out of that is, at that point, they don't focus on the stuff that they're, I hate to say, usually not very good at. You have people that are very, very good at managing that. Let them do that. Let the agent do what they do best, which is meeting with clients. That's so cool.
So I'll give you an example of why we believe in our system. And there's a lot of people that don't, and that's entirely fine. You can go pay, $25 for file from somewhere else and get that. We take a lot of the people we're onboarding right now are in process of getting their license, have never sold any real estate before. And when you hear people say about, oh, we have mentorship, oh, we have this, oh, we have that, we actually do. Like, we take anyone regardless of how much real estate experience they have. Our number 3 agent here at the brokerage, her rolling 12 months, she just did in St. Louis, I want to say about $14 million. And in St. Louis, that's a lot. That's a lot. I mean, so the average sale that we're doing is in the low 3s. And the first 3 months she had just gotten her license and hadn't sold a thing. So we can take people that understand client relationships. She came from retail, so we take people from all walks of life, retail, mortgage, whatever the case is. If you know how to manage a client experience, if you know how to talk, if you know how to engage people, we'll take care of the rest. That's easy. Like, selling a home is not as complicated as people make it. We have transaction coordinators. Like, there's 5 to 8 people involved in every single sale. So there's no lone wolves. And again, we can only do that through technology.
I was going to say, no, let's talk about the technology aspect of things. Sorry, Tristan, that I'm like running with this one. This is like,
do it.
I knew you'd be on here, Brett.
I love this. Talk to me about tech. Okay, what I see a lot of agents worry about when they come to a brokerage, or they go into a business where it's very tech oriented, like you guys are, there's a pretty big learning curve. How are you mitigating that? How are you getting someone who isn't familiar with Chime, isn't familiar with the technologies that you guys use? How are you bringing them up to speed and making them feel, I don't want to say welcomed, but so they're not overwhelmed?
Yeah. So the number one, there's no way around the overwhelmed, because when you walk in and into what we're doing, everyone's marching to the same beat. Everyone, we're a company. We are our own brokerage. There's no flag that's above us. We make our rules within the boundaries and whatnot. But what you have is, we are all moving as a team. Just because someone answered the phone doesn't mean that they are going to work that lead. They'll be compensated for answering the phone. And we use Chime to kind of account for who's touching these leads, who's doing what. So we actually just expanded. We had Alpha, Delta, Omega was our buckets, which we've talked about before. We've now expanded that from 3, I think we have 9. And so we're making some changes inside Chime right now. But how do we manage to keep people from being overwhelmed on this? Is quite simply mentorship. Every single person, regardless of 0 days or 15 years in the industry, is spending at minimum of 60 days in mentorship, meaning that they were assigned a mentor that's been in our brokerage, understands it, has gone through our training to actually be an instructor. So again, when you're really thinking of us, think of a department store. Think of, think of Target. Like we have levels of which that we expect them to manage, because that's where Aaron and I come from. We come from big corporate. Doesn't mean that big corporate means no culture. We have great culture. But that mentorship is a big deal. Then the other side of it is, again, everyone uses the same systems. If everyone's on the same systems, it's very, very easy for us to train for them to adapt. Because if we have, and again, that's what you guys want me to have on, is like, what laptops are they using? What gear are they using? Whatever the case is, we standardize that. Whether they're a W-2 and we issue them, their equipment, or they're a 1099 and they say, I want to buy equipment, what should I do? We help them through that entire process, and we do all the setup of that across the board. So the technology, and that's why I was excited when they're like, hey, let's talk, hardware. I'm like, absolutely. Because I just see so many people, so many of these agents that come in and they go, hey, can you help me with this? And they hand me some like 6-year-old laptop and they're like, it doesn't work. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't work. And they go, well, can you fix it? I said, absolutely. Let's throw that in the trash and let's go get you a new one. And that really does blow some people's mind. Well, it works. It turns on. Your time is worth more money. I can go on an entire rant here about people just devaluing an hour of their day to say, well, yeah, I've got to reboot the thing 3 times every morning to get it to work, but it comes on. And we don't believe in that philosophy. Clearly, we're a tech company. Everything's in the cloud. So if we don't have working internet, if we don't have working systems, we're just kind of twiddling our thumbs. So we have to have redundancy, and we have to have things that we know that works.
I think you hit a nail on the head that we'll go into on another webinar here, but I don't think people actually calculate what their time is actually worth. And I think that's a major, major flaw, because then when people sit there and do exactly what you're saying, well, I rebooted the computer 3 times. Okay, well, that took you 30 minutes. What do you get paid an hour? Like, what does that equate to? What is your time really worth? That's the one thing we cannot buy back. What's your time worth?
What's your client's time worth? Because we have a philosophy, and I'm sure you've heard this one before, but we have a philosophy, and it's in big bold letters everywhere. Time kills deals. Yeah. Speed to lead, speed to close. Yep. There's no substitute.
No. But since we are on this and we are here to talk about tech, let's talk about tech. Yeah. Okay, so do you want to talk about hardware? Because I'm over here drooling at the computers you have sitting behind you and the camera you have sitting behind you. So we might as well talk about, when you say you guys, you assign computers to your W-2 employees, what are you assigning them?
So this is our standard, our standard computer that we're going to roll out. And again, we've gone back and forth, and I'm happy to have the Mac versus PC fight any day of the week. We roll out MacBook Airs. The new M1s, when people come in, whether they're 1099, W-2, or whatever the case is, and they say, I need a new computer, I say, just run over. It's $900 for an 8 gigabytes, M1 MacBook Air. It's going to last you at least 4 years. It's going to turn on. The battery's going to last all day. Like you can fit it in the back of your pocket almost, depending on how big you are. But I mean, it's super lightweight. You're not going to know you have it. And it's instant on, instant off. There's no issues. And if you have a problem, and this is really, my point about Apple, and just as a quick side note, we don't do Android phones here. Like, I think they're great. They're fabulous. I think everyone can love whatever they want to do. When you talk about that speed here,
we love you.
We will support PCs. I will support PCs in our environment. We banned Android devices. Whether they're the MacBook, whether it's their little laptops, but especially their phones. Yeah. And quite simply, it's not that I have anything against whatever the case is. A phone needs to turn on and work. And I dealt with for years, people like, hey, can you put email on my phone? And I'm like, where's email? What is this doing? And then, every single phone is different. And at the end of the day, no one has time to deal with it, which is why we just don't deal with them. The other side of it is when you're talking about, Apple devices, and Apple, for everything they do wrong, they do a lot of things right. And that means that if you have a document that's on your desktop here, you can see it on your phone. You can see it in your cloud. If this thing just doesn't work anymore and you are using iCloud correctly, you can go walk into an Apple store and walk out with your exact copy of your computer within 20, 30 minutes, you're back up and running. So listen, if I said that one of our agents has never lost or broken or destroyed a laptop, it just hasn't happened yet this month, but it's coming. But we can redeploy a mission critical device through Apple within, in 30 minutes.
Yeah. I have a saying, I have a lot of friends that have Androids, and I'm like, let me make this crystal clear. If you and I are involved in some form of accident and I have to call 911, you're going to die if my phone is not working. And they're like, well, what do you mean? I'm like, because there is no way that I'm going to know how to call someone on an Android device. And I'm like you, Jay, I'm tech savvy. My world revolves around tech. And if you hand me an Apple device and you're like, call 911, I'm going to be like, might as well just die because I can't do this.
So listen, and when you talk about me, I have 2 iPhones. I mean, so there's 2 different networks. So when you're talking about have I gone through and done the due diligence on this? I can tell you when I look at my calendar, I know if T-Mobile is going to work or if AT&T is going to work.
Yep.
And I think that's good. I think there's a lot of agents that are probably listening to this going, oh my God, I deal with this all the time. I don't, and it's again, when you're talking earlier about training, when you're talking about how do we train and onboard, if every single person has the same equipment, the same systems, the same tools, no one's going, well, I see how I do this on this. Well, how do we do it over here? So there's a few people that are PC, and that's entirely fine. I think they make a great device, and it's easy to upgrade and compare. But we just quite simply, for our environment, what we do, my background is IT. I've got certifications in Apple products and PC and Windows and everything else that have long since expired. I've got a massive PC that's running this live stream right now. I know how to use it. I work on a PC, meaning I know how to make it work. I use Apple products because I want it all just to disappear, and I want to turn it on and use it.
I have a great example. So my other half, Aurora, when she was in the middle of, I think it was 4 deals that she was working on at one time by herself. And her Mac, she was out at some river property, and her Mac fell down the embankment and into the Columbia River. And I kid you not, she calls me in a panic. She goes, what do I do? I'm like, go to freaking Best Buy. And she goes, what? I'm like, go to Best Buy, buy the exact same computer. She comes literally back to the office. She turns it on, sign into your Apple ID. Signs into her Apple ID. It's all right there on her desktop. She's like, you've got to be kidding me. I'm like, and that's why you switched from PC.
And listen, I hear the arguments all day long, and just to be clear, it's every argument you can come up with is irrelevant in the business world. You can justify the price, the discounts, you got a brother, cousin, sister, whatever the case is that likes the other things. You guys asked me to come on and say, what do we use and what do we do? We are all about, it just needs to work. The worst thing that's going to happen with the Macs is you got to reboot them or charge them. That's our biggest experience. So
aside from your Macs, what else do you guys use? I see an iPad sitting over there. What else do you guys use?
I threw out kind of, here's my spread. So I've got the little Air, and then I use the bigger 16. So if anyone's like, hey, I just want to have one computer, I highly endorse the Pro 16 level thing. It's just a big screen. It works, but it's super heavy. So it really depends on what you want to do. The other nice thing, and this is, again, I don't even own Apple stock. In fact, I don't own stocks at all. But the nice thing is, if you have a Mac desktop, like an iMac, and you have a laptop, and you have that same Apple ID signed in on both, all your stuff is syncing. So you know, you can leave your laptop in the car on a little portable car charger and then just work all day. And then when you get somewhere, just open it up and it's all there. It's good. Your email synced, your desktop synced, everything's synced. So there's a lot of that kind of stuff. iPads, I have one. I tend not to use. We support them. I would say I see a few people that are using the new Pros with the keyboards. And you know, as Randy can let you know, the Chime support for app on the iPad isn't really there. And then the desktop experience on the iPad isn't quite the same as the desktop on the laptops. So you get this weird hybrid that I never quite know what to do with. I always have an iPad with me, and I tend to 90% of the time it's like Google Earth. Like, let's pull it up and let's see something and use it. But I don't really have a great use case that I would never. I've tried to go on the vacations and just take the iPad, and I'm just unhappy the whole time.
Yeah. The only reason that I ever used iPads, I had a lot of clients that like to sign in person. They like documents in person. I love DocuSign. Yeah. I'm completely digital format. So I used the Apple Pencil and they'd sign on the iPad. They could read through it all. Worked really well.
You know, we're in the process, and we're in the process, and you'll appreciate this. We're getting ready to convert all of our signatures and everything else to just using their own phones, meaning that everything will just display a QR code that we can just auto generate. And then the clients, you know, whether they're in person or not, just use your own phone, your own device. COVID's making its, you know, 18th round already. So we've kind of look at everything and say it's worthwhile to invest in that technology, just like everyone's device is their own. You don't need to touch mine. I don't need to touch yours.
There was a question on Facebook for you, Jay. Do you have transaction checklists that you use in Chime?
Oh my God, yes. They are exhaustive. They're extremely long. So just as a real quick note for those that are watching, again, as a high level, we operate in total transparency with our teams. If you're assigned to a file, so a call comes in from whatever source, it gets logged, and then it's going to go ahead and get pushed. It's going to get pushed into all of our various systems. And I don't know how to demo it for you guys, but you know, we've done a couple other things here, but essentially, as far as those checklists go, yeah, they're exhaustive. And as soon as we have somebody that goes past nurturing, and it's like we're actively house hunting with them, or we've signed them under agency. And I'd say about 95% of all of our clients are under agency. We just don't. That's the other thing that we do that's a little different. We're not tour guides. We sell homes. We don't just list them. So once they're signed under agency and they're clearly our client, a transaction coordinator will get assigned to them. We have, you know, various, whether they're in office or remote, that transaction coordinator is going to get assigned, and those checklists just are up there. But yeah, they're exhaustive, they're long, and they're always growing. Okay.
I have kind of going back after that question, I wanted to go and talk a little bit of, let's say that there was you're talking to a new agent they just got Chime, they're just getting everything squared away. What equipment would you tell them, here's what you need to get the best experience out of your real estate career and out of Chime?
Yeah, if you're, we do this all the time. We have people that have never been in real estate before. They're coming on as 1099s, and they go, look, I know I need to buy stuff. What do I want? I'm going to say the two things you need is obviously the laptop. And the second is a really reliable phone. And we've done exhaustive tests on ring times through for T-Mobile, AT&T, Verizon. Like, I'm not kidding. There's a picture of there was 15 phones laid out on the desk with every different setup that we could possibly do with all our agents. And we were calling to see which ones were ringing first and second. And they're all pretty close because of how we're doing this. But I would say, and whatever iPhone you want, and the Airs are really good if you want to get something a little bit bigger, but Chime is doing all of its processing in the cloud. Like, you're just on a web browser on your computer. So if you're not doing any graphics, if you're not doing anything else, 8 gigabytes of RAM is fine. A sub-1,000 MacBook is completely what you would want. I can't talk about PCs because we don't, there's a bunch out there. But the reality is, it works because it works.
Right. Yep. Randy, do you have anything?
No, I mean, I think you're covering it very well. I would be interested in understanding from like a personnel management perspective, like, is that also done inside of Chime, or is there other software that you use for the personnel management.
I don't know how to, so that's what I was gonna say. I don't know how to show this, but we've actually converted most of our discussions over to Discord. We're now running a private Discord server. And I know a lot of you guys have talked about Slack, and I've used Slack in the past, and I just think Slack is, I'm not into it. Discord though is a whole nother level of chaos. And we actually have lead channels. So entire channels of data that are flowing through. I know Brett's suddenly getting interested. So yeah, I don't know how to show it because it's literally, I'm looking right now, it's got clients' phone numbers and email addresses all over it. But essentially what happens in Discord is we have a channel for leads. And as soon as that lead comes in, it registers where's the source that came in. So our phone system's tied into it, Chime's tied into it, Zillow, all of our lead sources, and a variety of other things. But as soon as a call comes in on Discord, you can see who answered the phone. And that's even before it registers and logs in Chime. So we're actually like, we can see someone's on the phone. We see who they're on the phone with. We see what team it is. Then we're going to see generally the lead source, homes.com, Zillow, whoever it is. They're going to go ahead and drop that information. That pulls into Discord as well. So we can see the house and kind of, we know this. So as a manager, they're sitting there watching this Discord feed. And usually, and it's not a Chime issue, it's just by the time it gets into Chime, we've already been watching this transaction happen for about 30 to 90 seconds. Then it hits Chime, and we're trying to find some things to automate Chime a little bit. So we just talked to our rep the other day about doing some, we need some more integration levels. But essentially, by the time it hits Chime, we've already assigned the agent that answered the phone to tie all that stuff in. And then we start working the process from there. And and then there's discussions that happen because it's a Discord feed. People can talk inside of like, hey, so-and-so answered the call, but I know they're busy. Let's go ahead and assign this to so-and-so. So communication as you start rolling out is a really big deal. And we rolled out Discord, I want to say probably about 90 days ago. And it's just been a wild success.
You just trashed my weekend. I just watched. I'm on Discord right now, and I'm like, well, there goes my weekend.
Yeah, and like I said, I'll stay on with you a little bit, Brett. And if you guys want to do a side one, we can do some screenshots, and I can blur out the information. But yeah, I mean, I'm watching right here as the things just kind of flowing through.
Jay, what we should do on one of these is we should get you so you can screen share on one of these. And then there's some other stuff that I want to dive. I think you and I should do one of these as like a sidebar. And Randy, if you want to join in and ask a bajillion questions, you can do that. I know Tristan wanted to know, I think his video died on us, what software you're using for your staff and your agents, other than Chime.
So we are, we are, Dropbox is all of our files. We use SkySlope for, our document management. Okay. And I Dropbox, I love, I think it's great. SkySlope, I wish I could find a better replacement. I just don't love it. We did the brokerment thing, and I can only say that we moved to SkySlope because we were unhappy there. I'm on SkySlope now, and I just feel constrained. Anytime that I don't have APIs. Pipeline. Okay, I looked at them before, or no, paperless pipeline we removed from because they have no APIs.
Oh, you're kidding me. Okay, never mind. Yes. Continue. Sorry.
I was like, wait, no, we looked at, paperless pipeline we abandoned because they have no APIs, so you can't dive into it. I just feel constricted in SkySlope. 99% of people would probably love it and think it's great. I like to do my own integrations, where these documents come from, we like to automate it. Let's see what else. We use Microsoft 365, so we use office.com, but we don't use their email. We quite simply, they have what's called Business Essentials, which gets you Office, Word, Outlook, PowerPoint, right. That kind of stuff. I hate Microsoft Teams. I don't know why they even offer it. We're big Zoom people. We do tons and tons of Zoom, and that's where all these fun giant cameras come in, that we're actually, when you have a business account with Zoom, you can start do 4K streaming, which is probably what you guys are on here today. So we do a lot of static cameras. We're able to stream in HD 4K depending on the environment. And yeah, Brett's shopping right now. Yeah, this is a Z Cam. Yeah, this is heavy duty stuff. Love these things. Let's see. Yeah,
Your office is
run
my
our own.
paradise.
We run our own exchange server. I think email is a big deal. And I'm going to say this: there's absolutely no professional organization that I would actively do business with if their email address ended in Gmail or Hotmail or AOL or any of that stuff. If you do not know how to get a custom domain, it's just and Susie sells real estate at gmail.com or whatever the case is that's not a professional thing. And to be clear, that should be on your brokerage. Your brokerage should be providing you email. It's not expensive. I think we run our own custom exchange server because it ties into so many things. I don't expect anyone else to do that. But Gmail, Office, any of those you can do a custom domain with, and that's just a base level of professionalism that's needed.
Jay, I think we're related in some way, shape, or form. I don't know how, but it's so refreshing to I've been beating that poor dead horse about Gmail or Hotmail. My favorite one is AOL. You still have an AOL? AOL is still relevant in 2021? Anyways, I could go on that rabbit hole for forever.
Yeah.
You can't get a domain name. Dude, domain names are $12. It's so cheap.
No, I would say anyone that's on right now that's going, well, I don't know how to do this. I have no idea. It's too confusing. My go-to for anyone is just go to Squarespace, squarespace.com. There's no offer code here because I'm not sponsored by them. You can find them all over online. Go to Squarespace. They will buy your domain and they will set up a site that you can badly put some things together on that at least looks like you have a homepage and a professional email address. And it's I don't know, it's $15 a month for the hosting.
Hey, Randy. Yeah. Why? I want to put in a feature request with Chime right now. I'm going to do this on video so that way the powers that be can see me doing this. I wish Chime had a way to buy domain names through and offer some form of email service through for agents. So it's a one-stop shop. So we could start maybe I should make a t-shirt that says help stamp out Gmail addresses. I mean, seriously,
I thought buying domain names was going to be something that we rolled out. I don't know. I feel like I heard about that chatter. So
yeah,
I don't know.
There's got to be a way to do it. And I think it would be, it'd be really powerful.
As long as we're talking about here, I can make an intro to the owner of name.com and he could easily make that happen for you guys.
Cool. There you go.
So we're there. Yeah. So, again, we're talking about tech, we're talking about hardware, software, any other systems. We are big phone people, meaning, I just spent the time talking about the phones and the devices and everything we're doing, but no one, and there's not a business card or anywhere that any clients would ever even know the phone number for an agent. We use Chime numbers, I'd say about 90% of the time. The rest of it, we use a call routing system I've talked about before called call tracking metrics. I would tell anyone on this call, please ignore those words and go use something like call rail. Instead, there's very few people that would ever have a use for call tracking metrics. We do it because it ties in with, it has an open API. And if Chime ever let me, then I could instantly just replace the entire dialer package with my own and be done. And I'm not allowed to talk about any of the cool stuff that's coming in the dialer because they've addressed a lot of my issues, and I think majority of everyone else's. So I'm excited about that.
I love how you and I are both silenced on that, and both of us are sitting here we want to talk, but we can't. So
yeah, no, I've listened to any of my previous ones. I bitched about it constantly. So and to be clear, there's so many things that are happening inside Chime. Randy's turned off his screen. He's like, that's it.
Yeah, we lost Randy. We lost Tristan a while ago. Now it's literally you and I, the two tech guys.
And that's really what everybody wants. Now, you know what? When you're talking about Chime and you're talking about all these other systems and your tools, start with what you have. If you have Chime, and that means that you have access to a dialer package. If your team or your company's not very big, don't go adding complexity for no reason by adding a third-party phone system. Just use theirs. I know on their new package, You can transfer calls. We have that package. I don't know if we use it much because we generally get to the right place on the first call. But there's a lot of power inside Chime that you can do. I just saw they rolled out postcards and a number of other things. So, you know, finding the systems that work is, don't add complexity. And sometimes the complexity is just take the time and migrate from your Hotmail address to something new. It sucks. You're gonna lose a day of your life figuring it out or paying someone else to do it for you. But really do as much as you can to get it into one system. And we train on this all the time. When you're in the middle of a deal is not the first time you should be using a system. We you know, in this day and age, we make our agents practice. We will randomly grab them in team meetings and say, we want you to do a Skyscope contract right now. We want you to answer this call right now, and here's what it is. And we have them on the fly go through with it so that they know exactly when, like, it's 10 o'clock at night, you're trying to finish a deal and close it out. That's not the first time you want to be logging in trying to learn how to use your systems. And that's why we see most people abandon them and go back to what they know, is because they just don't practice enough.
Right. I think a lot of people can see you and I talking about this and see people like us can get very tech very fast. And I think a lot of people feel overwhelmed when they see all the technology that some of us are using. And I think the way we should probably end this call is helping the people that may not be needing what we use on a day-to-day basis, but maybe we should break down, here's what an agent that is new with Chime is going to need to really kind of get their feet off, kind of get going here and kind of get in motion. And then stuff I mean, we've talked about stuff they can add later on if they get to that point, but where would you start? I think that's where I would go. And then we can end it with that.
Yeah, so super simple, 100 hours. Until you've put 100 hours into actively using Chime and your systems as you've set them up, you don't know them. So the fact that you've logged in, looked around, and it's a CRM system, you get it, is entirely irrelevant. So if you think about a standard 40-hour week, you know, and you say, I'm going to do nothing but work in Chime, you know, it's going to take you two and a half weeks to really understand this thing. We have a 60-day, kind of not internship, but, you know, again, mentorship program for a reason. It takes that long of them coming in and spending 2-3 hours a day in Chime doing things, repeating things. So everything I would say is number one, if you're spending a lot of time on it and it's not working, like your computer doesn't work, like really log your time. Where do you spend your time? So time management is, circling back to our earlier conversation, it's such a thing that gets overlooked. So really, where are you spending your time? And then two, how much time have you spent training on it? As we look for leaders and we look for growth opportunities, I take the 10,000 hours very seriously. Have you spent a decade in that industry? Do you know it? And so I would also, you know, go ahead and go back to take advice from people that are true experts. You know, your buddy who has a PC and loves it and thinks it's the greatest thing in the world, that's not an expert. That's somebody that knows his system really well, knows how to use it. And if they're not going to be your IT support, find someone that does. Go to systems like Chime support. I have problems with it all the time where I don't know how to use something. You can click one button, and honestly, this is an entire show. You can click in the top right of your screen, the little question mark button, and then go down to contact support, and you're done. That's it. You just made a ticket, and they will get back to you on whatever your problem was. You don't have to pick up the phone. You don't have to do anything crazy. It gets into their knowledge base. So go with systems that have good support. That's why I like Chime. Chime has support. I don't have to answer every time my agents don't understand something. They come to us, but also in the same sense, something breaks, they can say this isn't working, and Chime fixes it without me getting involved. Two, when you get into the hardware and stuff, and the reason why we say don't do Android is because Android has no support. I don't care what you say. Are you going to go run back to the phone to the Verizon store every time something's not working? You're not. And so that's where we say just go with the low maintenance items that are charged all day, that work all day. And then really, like I said, in your office, kind of have those decisions, because if you've got 20 different brands of everything in your office and no one talks to each other, it's kind of irrelevant anyway. So
I see a lot in the Chime like Facebook group. You see people that just got Chime that are like, I want this system, I want this service, I want this, I want this, I want this. It's like, whoa, you've had this for a month. You haven't been through everything yet. Get through this, learn, just go through everything. Learn it so well that you could like teach it to someone, and you'll see all that stuff's in there.
My favorite is I saw somebody the other day like did this really long post. I'm sure you saw the same one where they're like, why don't we have a good, you know, integration into like what's Keller Williams thing or whatever the case is. Like there's no really good KV core. Why is there no, you know, if I could just have Chime and KV core together, it's like, what are you trying to do? What you know, you've spent no time in you spent no time in either system. And so that's where I just come back. And again, client support could be a lot easier if they said, you want a new feature? Have you put in your 100 hours yet into learning the system? No, call us back in another week or two. Once you put the time into the system, once you put the time into the system, and to be clear, there's a gazillion videos. There's so many things. I see people asking the most basic questions on Facebook. It's like, you're gonna have to do some of your own research. You're gonna have to figure this out. It is a system that needs to be set up, but it's all there. I mean, we're gonna do, I don't know, probably two, I can't even say numbers. I mean, we're big. I mean, we're growing extremely fast and we can onboard people incredibly fast. But if we don't train them on the systems, nobody would use it.
Right. And I think that's the big thing is you see basically people asking the same questions that have been asked many, many times. And it's cyclical. Basically, anytime that a bunch of new people come into the group, the same questions get asked. There's a search button, use it. I wish I could say that in that group, but I can't.
Yeah.
So
I do it for you.
I appreciate that. But anyways, Jay, I think you and I need to sit down and like actually do just a dive through on like a screen share. I think you and I will lose, I'd say 80% of the people that are with Chime now by doing that. But the 20% that we can help, I think it would help them a lot. I think you and I should do that. We got to find, let me talk to Randy and see when we have time to do that.
Yeah, and if you want to hang out here for about 3 minutes after we're done broadcasting, we'll have that conversation. But you know, anyone that wants to reach out to me on Facebook, and I know that Aubrey did a great job. She links my name. You feel free to friend me or message me on Facebook or wherever you want. Happy to answer some questions individually. After these calls, I usually get 1 or 2 people that reach out with a few questions. Yeah, and you know, there's nothing that we're doing that's top secret. It's just really hard to replicate. So like I said, I have no issue coming on and sharing what we do.
Cool. Barry, I think we are good to go. I don't know if I can stop this here or not, but I'm going to try. Nope, that is not going to do it. Barry has to do it. Thank you guys. Yeah. Thank you, Jay. Appreciate it. And guys, we'll see you again next Wednesday, talking about a new topic. So have a good one.